Mine and Luke's pick of the week for last week, which was Scott and Bailey, and we tried to get Gary to watch this. This was the fifth series of Scott and Bailey, and he's not. Have you ever watched an episode, Gary?
No, I don't recollect watching any of it.
This is the first one where they've sort of done it a bit differently. Instead of doing like a 6 or 8-parter, they've condensed it down to a 3-parter, all focusing on the same story, which is to do with this sort of. Is it online?
The dark net.
The dark net, where they sort of put a list of people up, and some of them could be like victims and things like that. And
it seems to be like a map of somebody telling a killer to go and kill certain people.
Yeah, and there's no reason or motive for some of these. They're just like random.
Appears to be no motive.
Rachel Bailey, that's Saran Jones's character, comes back from her vice secondment and is sort of implanted as the head of what are they called? Syndicate 9?
Let's just Syndicate 9.
Yeah, Syndicate 9, that's it.
Syndicate
Hang on,
9.
look at him, he hasn't seen a single one.
Oh, no,
He's like, yeah, Syndicate
I watched
9,
it
that's
this
it.
evening, so, it's fresh
Yeah,
in me.
I watched this about 3 weeks ago, so my memory's hazy at best.
And me about 2 weeks ago.
Do you want me to do the
No, because you'll go so and thingamy-bob
Yeah,
and
I
thingamajig.
won't.
And her with the
But
hair.
but she comes back, sort of takes over from Amelia Billmore's Jill, who sadly isn't in this series. She's the only sort of key missing part for me. Janet's sort of got a new partner, younger girl, who we later find out is a lesbian. Little fact for you there.
Fact fans.
Fact fans. And Janet's basically in this. It's a sort of new sort of balance of power where Rachel's the boss and Janet's sort of almost like a subordinate, and their relationship starts a bit uneasy. And then,
they don't come together immediately as we like them. They're distant from one another,
and then
aren't they?
There's also another storyline involving Janet's daughter, Tazy. She has got another daughter, but they seem to forget about her in this series.
She
gets
what's
a bit
it
Chris
name?
Brody.
That's what I was going to say, Chris Brody, yeah.
That's the sort of watermark of the forgotten child is Chris Brody from Homeland. Tazy sort of got involved with this this young lad, and there's a drugs charge against her, but then it turns out that there's inappropriate pictures she's taken, and because she's 16 and he's 15, she could get charged with distributing explicit images.
Indecent images of Tazy's boyfriend, Sam, have been found on a phone, and a few of them have made their way onto social media.
What sort of images?
Explicit pictures of him naked and of his genitals, of him aroused.
Stop. That's awful. They're only photos. They're going out together. This is what kids do, don't they?
He's only 15.
She's only 16. They're in the same year at school.
Because Tazy is 16, the police have to be seen to be complying to government guidelines. So the case has been forwarded to safeguarding, and once they've taken a look at it, it won't, but it could be sent to the Serious Sexual Offences Unit.
This is mad.
For possession and distribution of indecent images of a child under 18. Common sense is going to kick in. Safeguarding is going to take one look at this case and throw it out.
I really liked it. I don't know whether that's to do with the plot or to do with the characters. I've not quite made my mind up. I think I need to watch another one. There was very much, now, I don't remember the name of the series, but I remember the name of the character, Jane Tennyson.
Prime Suspect.
Thank you. It felt a little Prime Suspect. Because you had the main character, Saran Jones, is she Bailey or Scott?
Bailey. Rachel Bailey.
Because in the way in which she'd been promoted as the lead woman of a team, I know obviously she'd got history with that team, unlike Jane Tennyson, but there felt like that was that kind of biting, that kind of bad reaction, or sniping, I suppose is what I'd call it.
Did you appreciate the humour in there as well? Because that's something that Matt and I always gravitate to.
I missed out on obviously some of the backstory, but it didn't really need to be told out. You know, very early on, realised that she'd come back from a secondment in London. She'd had a good time, which they did in a nice little flashback of her drinking sambuca and having sexual relations in a hotel room. Who's the person living in her house with a son?
Her sister.
That's her sister, Sally.
Right, okay. Fine. I assumed it was a family member, but I had no real way of knowing it.
Fact fans, she came up with the concept for the series with Saran Jones. Sally Lindsay did.
Right. I did like the way in which they got those little side plots. You know, the guy who lost his workbook, which we think Yeah, Daybook. Yeah.
Generally, the sort of supporting police officers, the fact that they don't feel like actors, and I've said this before, they feel just like normal blokes. And I think I like the way that they sort of cast them.
They feel like police
Mitch
officers. I mean, that's...
Yeah. But often in police dramas, you don't get people who feel like police. That's that actor from that thing. Whereas these blokes are just seem like normal police officers, and I think that adds to the realism.
It also moved at such a good pace. There was so much going on, and it was funny, and it was exciting, and it was intriguing, and it was dark, and it was light, and it moved at such a speed that I don't think you couldn't not get into it, really.
Yeah.
Because there was no downtime in it, was there?
No,
really?
there's certainly... It moved along at a fast pace, and I think that Saran Jones's character was this kind of like, right, we need to get everything done, and we need it all now, and every moment we're not doing this, we're letting the families down.
I think more people are now going to gravitate towards this because of Saran Jones, because of Dr. Foster, and
but isn't she also like heavily pregnant? I understand.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be her filming schedule that's going to sort of, Yeah.
There was also a great line about her Janet's daughter's boyfriend having the sexual threat of a castrated mole.
I'm not worried. She was in a car with some boys and they had some Class Bs. She was with Sam, her boyfriend. Oh, I must sew my mouth up every time I say that word. It's fine. She's growing up. He's 5 foot squeak with the sexual threat of a castrated mole. Tazy said that she didn't know the other lads. They were the ones with drugs.
I know what I was up to when I was 16.
She still sleeps with her Furby, so unless she's been using that as a drugs mule, yeah, I am.
My favourite thing about Scott and Bailey outside of the crime drama element is just the banter between the two of them. They just seem so comfortable with one another that it's...
I've not seen so many scenes in a toilet since that criminal law drama where the dancing baby dances.
Or George
Ally
Michael's
McBeal.
Ally McBeal, yeah.
Do you see, Gary, why Matt and I would gravitate? I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. Why we would gravitate towards this rather than Marcella?
I think I can, knowing how you two, it's got that light and shade balance.
It's got that northern charm, which I go for.
Yeah. The first 4 series will now go on the famed list.
Wow.
So I will go back.
Series 4 is very strong, though.
Yeah.
Series 4 is very strong.
But I just really, really enjoyed it, and I was worried because obviously Jill had such an impact on the show, and I was thinking I really liked.
And Amelia had done really well with the writing, taking over from Sally.
But it just kept the momentum of the first few series, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm sad it's only 3. But I'm also glad that they're covering one story and avoiding some crime cliches so far that we've become well and truly aware of. Is the darknet a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we answered that way too quickly.
There are certainly hidden parts of the internet where it's alleged that this sort of stuff goes on. I mean, password protected websites,
and also
because it's a snuff movie basically, isn't it? It's showing someone getting killed.
Janet's daughter stuff was something I've not seen before, and I can imagine that
she's like 16, and
I felt it was an awful lot to arrest her. Wouldn't they have questioned her first?
But they wanted to make an example of her, didn't
they? They were, well,
because her mum's a policeman.
Well, that's right.
Well.
Yeah.
I love Leslie Sharp just generally. I think.
Yeah.
I believed her.
I'd happily watch her but it's like she's one of those actresses where why isn't she on? She was in Capital last year, but she didn't have that big of a role really, and it's just.
I first saw her in Clocking Off when she was Philip Glenister's secretary in the factory, and I remember thinking how brilliant.
I mean, she was really good. Gary will remember her from that episode of Doctor Who she was in on the plane.
Yes,
that was probably one of my favourites of that year.
And one of her roles we never discussed, but it's something we all enjoyed years ago. Was she was very good in The Shadow Line.
Oh yeah, she wasn't she? Yeah,
that's Christopher Eccleston's wife.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago in TV world.
There's another I'd love to watch again.
Just do a pitch, Gary. So somebody's never seen this like you. They've got a week now to catch up on the next lot. Okay. Tell them why they should, as somebody who's just seen it for the first time.
If you're a fan of good police procedural work, and you have a tendency to like those cases that are a little bit abnormal, that aren't just solved in week 1. This clearly is a good, depthy story, and hopefully with a good finish.
They're going to go in depth.
Well, it's good, yeah, in the sense that it's just not going to be. Oh, we said it was Phil, and it was Phil all along. There's lots of different people involved in this, and it's going to take 3 episodes to pull all that apart.
One question I have got is, as this is sort of a continuous story, do you think it would have worked better on sort of consecutive nights or something?
I would have liked it over consecutive nights, but
well,
there's
a couple of bank holidays coming up. We all remember Messiah, and it's 3 episodes over to one bank holiday. So
because I watched it almost all in one bang, certainly 2 and 3 together, and I think it works better like that, but better as sort of.
I think how
you sort not forget about what happens, but because it's one of those, it just fits together better if you haven't got like a week between each episode.
I know that something earth-shattering in the show happens in the second episode.
Second episode, something major happens. There is a major incident in episode 2. That is all.
I almost want to watch it now because every time you say that,
I think I've maybe heightened
overblown it.
I can certainly watch
for fans of Scott and Bailey like me and you. It still will come as a bit of a shock.